Peace and greetings, everyone. We're back with another video. This is Ross Timotheos here, and I'm High Priest CEO of the Temple of Divine, Indigenous University of Metaphysics, and I'm thankful that you guys can be here to, check out this video. And this video, we're gonna just be going over a couple things that we're going to be mentioning in our upcoming, live broadcast, which will be doing live on here, but we'll also be on a radio show live broadcasting as well. So we're going to be sharing some things today, just getting the topic started, a couple days beforehand. So the radio show will be on the 19th. So we'll be posting all of those things live as well on here. So you got anything you want to say, brother?
Yeah, this upcoming radio show will be on the 19th of this month, and we're getting ready for that. And just to give you an overview on actually what we will be going into, we'll be going into the understanding of the underworld. Now, I know in your mind you might be thinking, "Oh, underworld, ooh, what's that?" Like basically the ancient civilization, as we know as the ancient Kemites or the Greeks, the ancient Greeks, and even the Lemurians, even the civilization prior to Kemet, the Atlantean civilization, all the pre-dynastic civilizations prior to coming into the Western world dealt with the understanding of the underworld. Now, or there was an underworld or a realm or a different dimension that is called the underworld, and beyond the underworld will be the actual real world per se, the shadow realm. Now you have a lot of metaphysical teachers that talked about this, such as one of them that I listened to closely, Bobby Hemmett, Phil Valentine, all the metaphysical, I think A.A. Rashid, some of the Moors will talk about this. Very few Moors will talk about it, but really, a lot of people in ancient culture used to talk about this underworld. Now, a lot of you Kemetic scholars out there might say, "Well, that's pseudoscience." Well, we know that there was actually a underworld that they would talk about. The ancient Kemites would talk about this underworld.
Not trying to interrupt, bro, but also in the and we're going to be speaking about this too, but the Olmec and the ancient Native American mythologies goes into the underworld, or what is known as the realm where the spirits exist, or the spiritual realm, the realm in which allows you to come into contact with what they call the spiritual forces. Now,
Right.
there's a lot of people out there that would consider this stuff pseudoscience, and I believe that all science has somewhat of a pseudo aspect to it, because when you think about it, no one knows. No one really knows. But when we get into our ancient sciences, they were very much advanced in this understanding of the underworld and how these things relate to humanity in survival aspect. So when we are no longer in a survival aspect, looking at these things such as the spirituality, magic, and accessing the spiritual realm, or being able to interface with, these, what is known as the hidden, or the underworld, or where these spirits exist, some people have no concept of, this understanding, due to the aspect that, we have an influence of religious society, which seeks to control the ideas which relate to that which is spiritual, that which is magical. In actual reality, it goes back to the ancient perspectives, way before an idea of religion really even existed. Now, I'm speaking from a shamanic perspective where we access the spiritual realm pretty much on a daily basis. So coming from that standpoint, you know, all sciences are pseudoscience. When you think of pseudoscience, pseudo really, what do you mean by pseudo? You know what I'm saying? What do you got to define what you mean, because there's this new term going around, you know, that, oh, that's pseudoscience, or metaphysics is pseudoscience. Well, first of all, define what you mean by that. You know, you're supposed to be conscious, so you should be able to define what you mean. You see what I'm saying? And you have to be careful now, because what these people are presenting you is history. History. These people are presenting you history. They're so-called historians, and I said so-called because you know, they do their own historical research. So coming from that perspective, you know, everything is pseudo, really, if you think about it, because really no one knows the truth. No one has all the answers to which they can say, okay, this is how it has to be, right? No one does. And when someone does come up like that, then, you know, it's really obvious that, you know, that's someone who we should actually run away from, especially if they present themselves as having all the answers. And, you know, so, and then would proceed to call everything else, you know, defective or pseudoscience. When actually, in actual reality, the basis of what they believe comes from a pseudo idea that the facts that are given to them are true. Now, how do you understand that the facts that are given are true? Right?
Mm-hmm.
It comes down to a belief system automatically. So we're talking about pseudoscience in everything that you do. You have to believe what you're going to get in the can is actually what's in there, right? What happens if you open up a box of, or let's just say, if you go to the store and you want to get a box of bananas, right? And you open up the bananas, on the box it says bananas, but in there they're oranges. You see what I'm saying? It comes down to belief. You have to have a belief that what you're going to buy is actually in there. So everything comes down to a pseudoscience, to a belief system. So really trying to get away from belief system is not going to work. It's about being able to use those beliefs in order to work for you. So you know, I hear a lot of dissonance, a discord amongst people who pretty much don't understand that in all mythologies, in all religions, in all faiths, in all ideas, in coming down to the idea of the physical body, you have an underworld. You have an underworld looking at the earth. You have an underworld looking at the universe. There's a world beyond what you can physically see. And that's what we're trying to explain, that there's a world beyond what we can physically, what we can sense with our physical senses. So when we start to cultivate and develop the senses to develop things beyond that, people want to say that that's pseudo, because they research history. And that's pretty much what I wanted to say. But
Yeah, and you're right on that, man. You know, it's on, you know, and see, it's only when those who look at one particular study that they would say, that's just a bunch of nonsense. But the same thing that they call nonsense is the same thing that their ancestors understood. So which means that if anybody that's out there that studies Kemet and wants to look down on those that's into metaphysics, then you're just as crazy, because how is it that you can say that um you just want to deal with history? Well, your ancestors didn't just deal with history. They dealt with the occult. Now the occult, all that means, when you look up at it, when you get a good definition, you got to define these words, because of course you have a lot of religious people that look at a cult as something evil based upon a Western mindset. Occult, all it really means is hidden. Occult means hidden knowledge. It's
You know what the
hidden.
problem is, bro? It's the words. The
Yeah,
words, the words shape perception in life. So a lot of the times, the words that we use to interface and to interreact, intercommunicate with others and with our reality, the trees, the plants. How do you know that that's what that is? It's based on language.
exactly.
When you're able to define these words in a way that you can understand, and not in a way that makes you objective or subjective to them, you have to be able to understand the roots of the words. You see what I'm saying? Because if you don't understand the etymology, where the words come from, then how are you going to understand what you mean, or what the common meaning is today?
Yep. It's even, and you're right about that, man. And even when you look at I was having a conversation with someone this week and was telling them that there's actual Bibles. There's actually more books with the Bible. The Bible is just a accumulation of many different records, extraction of different records. Um, and even in the Bible, it mentions, another book, such as the book of Jashir, even in the Bible. So you would have a Christian would try to get mad and say, well, you're going into the occult. Well, your Bible is based on occult teachings. It has a lot of metaphysical things in it. So one will have to understand what the book is, and what these different mythologies are, and how, I know there's some people out there that might get offended by me using the word mythologies and this and that. But when you look at it, look at the definition of mythology and understand me and the brother both, write books. We're authors. So we're well aware on, not trying to offend anybody by saying the word mythology, but what we're doing, yeah, see, he just showed a book on the screen right there.
Right here. This is my book, The Temple.
Indigenous.
Indigenous Rising, the science of ritual and mythology, going into how you use this in your daily life. It's not just some story that somebody told. See, and this is the whole objective when you get into the historians. When you go to the church, they're trying to give you a historical perspective, not a spiritual or the occult or the hidden, that which is known by the priests themselves, that which is practiced by the. Think of a monk, right? A monk doesn't necessarily understand things from just reading a book. No, he understands things from the spiritual practices that he does, coming out and allowing him to interface with what information is presented within the books, or the symbols that are related into the book. Because symbols are just the outer appearance, but if you know the meaning of the symbols, then you can see the under hidden message. You see what I'm saying? And that's what the occult is leading to. So you get a lot of these the new age, right? New age is based on trying to show the show the evil in the world, when looking at the world. So they have this thing called Illuminati, which really that's just a name that relates, or that they want to put on a certain group of people, that so on and so forth. Now, so when you get into language and you're understanding how language exists and becomes something, this is nothing more than a symbol. The logos. How did God create the world? He said it. It spoke, came into existence, and that's what we're going to be talking about. We're speaking about the underworld as well. When you think of creation, you have to take into account that which is uncreated or not created to then be in creation. So what is that non-creation? Well, that aspect of non-creation is what is known as the hidden or the under aspect, or that which is the occult. And if you can't understand the occult, then you can't understand what the physical shit is about. In retrospect to understanding mythology, it comes down to the stories that represent how, or the symbols in a story format that represent how these things come about, like the sun rising and setting. you have a story that expresses how these things come about. And with those symbolic messages, you can see how those things relate to things and to other principles. It's universal. It's inside of you, it's in the universe, it's in the person's life down the street, it's in the person's life across the world. Mythology is not single to one person or one culture. You can take mythology and take it to, from the Native Americans and take it to Egypt, and I'm pretty sure they have the same concepts. And that's what we're trying to show you today. And when we go live, we're going to be presenting all the information that we have to back this stuff up.
Most definitely. And, so the brother just said it right there about mythology. Stories told, throughout time and throughout history, stories told to give a metaphysical, or what you would call a symbolic meaning. So you might, okay, for example, Jesus's story or Jesus' life. He died, he died at 33. He walked around, did miracles, and preached the gospel. Or I would define gospel as he taught the good spell. He taught the good spell, and he was speaking in a certain a certain language, which we call parables or mysteries or allegory. Now, when you know it and see a witchcraft, or what they call witchcraft, meaning craft of the wise, um, the Moors, had taught that information down from even ancient Egypt. So it's a way in which you can talk to someone, to do a spell. Now when you use the word spell, a lot of people might think, oh, that's bad, oh, this and that. No, there's a such thing as a good spell. You can use a good spell. So it's kind of like understanding magic or the magical realm. It's kind of like, having a gun in your hand. The gun could be positive or it could be negative, depending on how you use that which you have. So what do you think they come up with the word spelling bee? You're spelling a word. If I give you a word and I say, okay, spell this word, just like things are not, and just like the Western society has us spelling certain words, but a lot of times when you spell that word, it does not even mean what, it does not even like pronounce how it's spelled. Like, for example, we was taught that in school that knife is spelled knife because the K and that and all that is silent. Who said it was silent? On whose perception? So you would say knife because that's the knife. So, but who told you how to pronounce it like that? On whose mind state? So you can see that there, you can't. That's another form of a spell. So spells go different from is a different form. It's different levels to spells and magic.
Yes, and that's what we're actually going to get into.
I know we're supposed to be about the underworld, man, but the spirit leading into this
No, actually,
conversation.
you're on the right path because that's what we're going to be getting into anyway. That is what the Temple of Divine University of Indigenous Science is about. When you look up the word pagan, you see that it comes from those who lived in the countryside, country dwellers. What does that sound like? Okay, how did the people who live in the countryside live? More close to nature, right? Okay, so when we speak about what the ancestors were talking about, who lived close proximity with nature, then you can understand where these words comes from. It comes from somebody else's ideology. And we've taken on this ideology because this is not our culture that we live in today. That's the whole point. You have to realize that this shit, that the world that we live in is not our culture. This is not our shit. The music might be, but there's a lot of stuff that is not ours, and through the music, they've, done their shit to it. So really, that's what I got to say about that aspect.
Yeah, and so how all this ties in with the underworld, the dark side. Even when you look at the movie Star Wars, to balance the polarities, or to it's see. I gotta go here, bro. It's a lot of us sent here, and your parents, they may know it. You know, a lot of us are sent here to balance shit out. Yeah, that's why that's why you see a lot of us young are dealing with more of with the metaphysical, and the older generation is dealing with more of the historical aspect of things, because we're here to balance the shit out with the dark side, with the occult knowledge, with the so it's like we're here to balance the the scale, like I remember I was looking at this TV show called Teen Wolf, and the guy said, um, there can never be a such thing as going through just a good phase. Sometimes you got to go through the bad phase, and the good phase is split. So it's the cosmic order, the whole cosmic order of things is changing things up. So when you see us talking like this, that we should be, just going to the church and all this and that. No, we're here to shake shit up. That's what we want to do. We want to shake shit up and give you something to think about. Because your average everyday life is dealt, believe it or not, every day in life you're gonna have to deal with magic, regardless on if you believe in it or not. It's all around you.
Do you
When
believe in cars? Do you believe in the sky? Do you believe
yeah, like you come on now.
right?
Like
Anytime anybody asks me if I believe in magic, I believe that. Do you believe that you were born into this world?
yeah.
Right? Come on now. When we learn what magic means and what magic could relate to, you see what I'm saying? We're relating to our inner self and inner cultivation in balance. Now, um, I was going to go in a little bit into some definitions of what we can term the underworld and how we're going to be going over it when we go into this radio show and when we present this information live. But we're just giving you a background, breaking down the misconceptions. You see what I'm saying? There's so many misconceptions about our ancient sciences, specifically shamanism, magic, the occult, and all of that, because of the perception that they have given you about that shit. You know what I'm saying? They have given you a perception that this shit is, from a historical perspective, that goes into Christianity and all of that. And then you can see, go look at the Council of Nicaea. Then you can understand the difference between and where certain things were created for the destruction of the indigenous peoples. You see what I'm saying? And this is what perspective we're coming from. There's people out there to destroy our lifestyles, the indigenous lifestyle out there. So in our indigenous sciences and our indigenous practices, and they are doing anything to try to eradicate that. So that's why I feel that it's in my goal to help those who are indigenous understand your indigenous science, and your indigenous practices, so that way you can implement them in your life and gain balance. You see what I'm saying? And gain knowledge and wisdom and understanding and protection and healing and love and peace. Things that we can't get from the outer world, the culture that we live in today, because it's not ours. That's not indigenous, what we're used to in our genes. See what I'm saying? We do rituals that are not ours. We do rituals that are not of us. You know what I'm saying? A ritual is just a spiritual action or something that is deemed sacred, a sacred action or a sacred thought, a sacred idea being manifested in the terms of symbolism in the physical. So, and there's so many more things that we're going to be covering in the radio show about these things. But the underworld in and of itself is dealing with that which we don't necessarily see or deal with on the daily basis, because we are living in a culture which is not ours. So anything you want to say on that, bro?
Most definitely, and everything you said, was on point, and that's basically what we are going to bring. Here come this radio shows. We're gonna show you the shamanistic aspect, what the brother will deal with, and I'm gonna show you from that, from your own source. so that you can't say, "Oh, we making this stuff up." This stuff is in this stuff that we talking about is in all your texts. But the question is, why haven't you been looking at it in that light? Because you haven't had the eyes to see and the proper things to show to be shown to you out of these texts. These texts that we bring in are damn near was out before I was even born. So so it's in there. So we're gonna show you that all these things, that we're talking about have been here, like you just gotta open yourself up to see it. We finna show you a new world. We finna show you a totally different world. And believe it or not, a lot of us have experienced the underworld, whether through your sleep, your dreams, different. You ever had a dream in which you was you seen entities, or you've been traveling through darkness, or whatever the case may be. um a lot of us have been there. We just don't, we just can't remember, and it's in the back of our psyche. It's so deep in the unconscious mind. We've been there. But see, the thing is, we have to understand that um it's a thing that which I was building with somebody on, talking about how the whole concept that you have about angels and things such as angels and things like that, they exist on a totally different plane, on the outer shell. Why is it, you got to ask yourself, why is it that we're so close to dark energy more than we're close to um more than we're close to what they call angels or angles, things like that. But we're so close to, dark energy. Why? You got to ask yourself that question. Why? Why are we so close to them? Like it's nothing to summon a dark energy, just poof like that. But why is it that it's the outer realm doesn't respond quicker? Because the dark energies are actually, believe it or not, based on your concept and your belief system, they're here to help you manifest with your desire, the things that you want into your life.
Brother. I want to mention. I want to read this quote here from Ian Lurking Bear, in Gateways of the Fairy. It says, "Modern humans go about their business in mundane sphere as if the world were as it appears at first glance, having been assured that the notion of a realm beyond is merely a primitive, superstitious leftover from the foolish childhood of our race.
Mm.
Yet, lurking beyond the facade of conventional reality, fairy is still there, connected to all things, uncontrollable and pervasive. What modern civilization has discovered like a forgotten child's toy is a mighty secret, a power that will blow the lid off the narrow, rational worldview."
Most definitely. And matter of fact, you know what, bro? This also ties in with all everything you just said. Also ties in with the understanding of the matrix. The
Yes.
matrix. The matrix. People out there. The matrix is the same thing that Morpheus said on Matrix. It's a computer generated dream world. And this reality that we perceive as reality is actually the illusionary phenomenon that is in our brain, and that our brain processes as to think as is real. Now, the question is that I want to pose to you so that you can think and use your own mind thinking, and not letting us think for you, but think for yourself. Look at this. What is the real world? Is the real world your dream world, or is the real world? What if what if you wake up, or what if when you so-called die or transition, you realize that, oh man, this is the real world. You mean to tell me my life that I was living the whole time didn't, I mean, really was just a part of my transformation to get here? So why you think we keep talking about over and over you deal with the inner child? Because when you deal with the inner child, remember when you was a child and you understood that the fantasy world and the world, that you manifesting all kind of things, you seeing in your vivid imagination, you fairies and imaginary ghosts and things like that you when you was a child, you knew was real, your fairies, your tooth fairies, and all those different things. And why you think Disney always tell you, do you believe in magic? And everything, because I used to watch the Disney Channel when I was young. Everything.
This we're gonna get into this because this is it goes on a whole nother level of psychology, a whole nother level
Yes, bro.
mind control, mind interaction. We can go days speaking about this subject.
Good talk, bro.
It goes into all aspects. When I'm not gonna even get started because I'm gonna wait until we gotta do this live on our on the radio show, because this shit is powerful, man.
It really is.
All different aspects of life, and people don't realize that. They
Yeah,
just go out, they go about their daily lives, not even realizing that there's a whole nother aspect to reality.
most definitely.
Aspect to this life. And I actually wanted to read another quote, but I didn't know if you wanted to finish saying what you wanted to say.
Yeah, and it's like what we saying is accessing these different levels. Just like I told bro, when I was young, I used to go outside and toss the football by myself, and I would make the noises like a crowd, like and I'm running down the field, and with 1 minute left, and I tackle myself. I fall on the ground like poor, like poor, doing all of that. So that's why it's important that we have to get back to the inner childhood, because the inner childhood will go back to imagining things and manifesting it. You see what I'm saying? In this adult life, you have to understand um, that there's a world beyond a world. There's a world beyond this world, and and all you're doing when you transition, of what you would call die, death, doth. All you're doing is you're going into your own soul. You access your own. You are the Akashic record. Let's make that clear. You are the Akashic record. You are the Akashic record. You see what I'm saying? Because you know why I say that? People out there in the audience, because see, your awareness is supposed to become aware with your awareness. So when you're aware of yourself, then when you make your transition, you will realize that, wait a minute, I'm only inside of my own mind. That's the underworld.
See, I think most people, when they read certain mythology and certain books, they automatically look at it from a physical perspective. When it says the earth, they see it as the physical earth. Well, it's the earth, right? Well, the earth has a meaning. It has a symbol. What does it symbolize? The earth symbolifies your physical body.
That's right.
So when they say that there's an underworld to the earth, what does that mean? That there's an underworld to the body. There's a world that exists within and beyond the body. So
And
go ahead, bro.
ooh, man.
I
And
know.
it just stuff hurts, man. It hurts in a good way, because I want to say more, but then I'm trying to hold back. But I'm not gonna hold. We're not gonna hold back. Here come the 19.
Right, right.
So all right. So I'm glad that he said that, because the earth has a core. the earth, just like what the brother said, um, the earth, is kind of like the human body. So when you understand that the earth itself is similar to your body, which means what is land? Flesh. Flesh is the land. What you have less flesh, and what makes up the human body? Water and blood. You see what I'm saying? So you looking at so when you train, the earth also has a vibratory field. The earth also vibrates on a certain frequency. Now when you deal with the frequency waves, you can actually hear the earth and also the sun. It's a vibration with the constellation, and this with the sun.
Well, actually, the science behind that is, well, the Earth is vibrating at about seven hertz, 7 point something hertz, right?
You're
So
right.
when you go into meditation, that when you go into the state which allows you to access the inner world, the Earth frequency, you actually your brain waves actually interact with the Earth's frequencies at
Exactly.
hertz.
And don't take our word for it. Go on YouTube, go to Earth frequency, and you can hear it. You see what I'm saying? You can hear it. You know, put yourself in a certain state, and you'll be able to hear the vibratory rate of the earth. Like, you got to understand outside the physical, there's a communication going on, but the communication is through waves. You see how whales talk? Whales talk and communicate through certain waves. That's the something. So listen, if you want to become real spiritual, look at how animals operate. Look at the marine life. Look at the animal kingdom.
Right.
Look at these things because, like, I used to go study. I used to go study looking at marine life and National Geographic shows all the time. Still do it to this day.
Mm-hmm.
It's fast. Everybody's fascinated on how this earth, and go watch this documentary called Cometica. You will see that the earth also it has a soul at the core of it. Now the core of this, that's why the ancients used to talk about in the emerald tablets that in the core of the earth, um, even in ancient civilization, they used to build a temple to the core of the earth from the very core of the earth because they wanted to get close to the soul of the earth. The earth has a soul, has chakras, it has all of that, man.
Mm-hmm. And that's what is known as the underworld. All of this stuff is the magical shit, the occult stuff. Why do you think they call it the occult stuff? Because it's pertaining to that which is hidden, that which cannot be perceived by the human eyes. And I think now is the time to read this quote because we presented a little bit of this information here, and this quote actually gives a profound encapsulate this idea in a profound way. So it says, beyond the conventional space and time, glowing through the physical world like a Chinese Latin, a raw fundamental power of consciousness and desire in the universe pulses and dances, feral and exultating. The touch to touch this power is to touch the secret truth of who we really are, of the nature of our being, outside of life and death, beyond ego and attachment. So, really, what we're saying here, and I want to go back to the dreaming. Let's go back a little bit to the dreaming. So, the greatest astral aspect of ourself is that we can access directly is through what is called the dreaming, and or what is also known as the dream time. In psychology, is known as the psychic realm, with or the collective unconscious. So, in other understandings, it is also called, the netherworlds, the afterworlds of all faiths. So that's talking about even what you believe heaven or hell is. That's the underworld. The realms of gods, spirits, and ancestors, and all fantasy worlds of all myths and stories, such as Fantasia, the Wonderland, the Oz, the Never Never Land, the Middle Earth, all of these things. It's talking about the underworld or the collective dream world. So when you're dealing with the spiritual sciences, not to mention too much because we're going to go further into this when we speak on the radio show, but the dream, to enter into the dream world is to enter into the spiritual realm or the astral realm. So every species, every sentient creature on earth throughout the universe that can dream or that dreams thus has the capability of, you know, accessing the earth or accessing the underworld. So those animals which can dream, those animals which sleep, anything that is sentient and conscious actually sleeps. There's a day and a night cycle to it. So, which is actually, you know, I kind of thought about this, you know, why can they find DMT in a lot of plants, or why is DMT found in a lot of plants? If DMT is produced from serotonin, melatonin, or that same tryptamine, right, in the brain and the body of the human beings, then that is related to sleep and wake cycles, then it's interesting to see how that could relate to different plants being able to go and access into the dream world, which is another shamanic understanding that these plants even not only have spirit essences, but also have the ability to allow us to interface with the spiritual realm as spirit guides, animal guides, and all these things. Now, so that was the idea of the dream realm. There's a realm that we access through the dreaming, or a portal to another realm is simply passing through two old trees. So have you ever just walked in the woods before, and you're walking with the group, and the group goes one way, but there's like two trees and you go through that way? Well, you're ultimately entering into a portal. And sometimes, you know, I've actually walked with people, and I went around the stop sign pole when we were crossing the street instead of going, you know, straight on the sidewalk. They're like, oh, don't do that. You got to come back around. So they still have a superstitious idea related to, you know, going around poles, which is still signifying that we deemed, you know, going around different things and being able to go through different trees, or going to sleep in certain places, like if you go in the woods and you go to an enchanted place, and you know, one that is, that you feel the energy is spiritual and unique, and you go to sleep in that area, then you ultimately have the ability to access the as if a portal way into another dimension. But it's another understanding to have when you're dealing with the spiritual stuff, is that your consciousness is the portal into your own underworld, and that's what we're talking about. We're talking about going into your own inner underworld. So when we speak about fairy, we're not talking about these little flying creatures everywhere. We're talking about a realm that is the closest to our realm, bordering on both the dreaming and the mundane realm. So the fairy is also a realm of the dead, the voices of the ancestors. It is connected to the divine aspect of ourselves. So through the fairy realm, we may contact the sacred power more directly, or the kundalini psychical energy, psychical spiritual chi force energy. So like I was saying, the dreaming, the gateways to the fairy are not only found in the dreaming, but also found in enchanted places such as the forest, clearings, mushroom rings. I went and entered into a trance state when I was in a mushroom ring in the woods nearby, and I actually was able to access another dimension and communicate with certain entities in which I was trying to deal with at that time. And now when people hear that, you know, they tend to freak out, but we will get more into that into the radio show. So these gateways could be such places as like ancient stone circles, mushroom rings, forest clearings, things like that, hollow mounds, burrows, overgrown ruins, and things like that. And in such places, all you need to do to pass through this and enter into the portal is to enter a trance. So that goes back to the shamanism and our magical practices, or fall asleep. So anytime you are caught in a thick fog, you also may find yourself in the fairy when it clears. So This is just some examples of what we are speaking on, what we will be speaking on when we go on to the radio show live. We will be speaking on these different realms of the underworld and how they interact with what we can do today. You know, what we can do with them today, to date, and how we can use it for the balance. You know, for the cultivation of our generation.
I also want to bring a quote from, and this the last thing that I will bring, without going into too much. But this is the last thing that I'm going to show, and also I'm coming out of this book right here called the Apocrypha. Now I'm gonna read this from Ecclesiasticus chapter 40, verse 1. Understand, open up your metaphysical ears and listen. It says, great travail is created for every man, and heavy yoke is upon the sons of Adam. For the day that they go out of their mother's womb, till the day that they return to their mother of all things. So here you see in the biblical text is referencing the great mother.
Mm-hmm.
Going back to when you come out your physical, it says all the sons of men have a heavy yoke, and when you come out your mother's womb to the day that you return to the mother of all things. Who is the mother of all things? It's not your physical mother, it's the great mother, the source energy, the black hole. It says, now check this out. It says their imagination of things to come and the day of death trouble their thoughts and cause fear of heart. So that means that all of us that are born into the physical, like what the brother said, through the collective consciousness, we're able to see what's coming and what will be the end through our imagination. It says, from him that sitteth on the throne of glory, unto him that is humbled in earth and ashes, from him that weareth purple and a crown, unto him that is clothed with a linen flock, wrath and envy, trouble and unquietness, fear of death and anger and strife, and all the time of rest is upon his bed at night. Sleep, do not sleep, do change his knowledge. So what does that mean when it says sleep do change his knowledge? Because when you go to sleep, like what the brother was saying, you access these different realms, so you're able to take what you've learned and from these other realms and gain your understanding. I know it's a lot of things that I didn't gain, and I'm pretty sure the brother and pretty sure y'all out there can say, man, I gained a lot of understanding from sleep.
Yep. Especially when you take an idea and then you actually go to sleep on it. When you sleep on an idea, yes.
Come on now.
That goes into the practices as well too. Now that I think about it.
So yeah, there's more. It says, the time of his bed at night, sleep do change his knowledge, and it says, a little or nothing is his rest, and afterward he is in his sleep. So it says a little or nothing is his rest. So you don't get no rest. And afterward he is in his sleep, as in a day of keeping watch, troubled in the vision of his heart. So you're dealing with spiritual experiences when you are in your sleep. You talking about the heart. It's not talking about your beating heart, your physical. It's talking about your heart chakra. You got to understand that. You may see the heart chakra is the will, your desire, which also goes with the unconscious mind, because when your chakras illuminate, or when you center and balance, or even when you're unbalanced, you have visions based upon your unbalances, and when you're balanced, you have physical spiritual manifestations when you go to sleep. So whatever is in your heart, whatever is in your desire, it manifests itself. Whatever your fear is will manifest in the dream.
Mm-hmm.
So we gotta understand that. See, this scripture, you gotta understand, it ain't literal. So it ain't talking about your physical heart, boom, boom, boom. It's talking about those heart chakras, those spiritual centers, those glands in your body. That's what it's talking about. The pituitary, pineal, all of that, crown, all these things come up when you're sleeping, and they be lighting up and they be working, functioning in the nighttime.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
it says the vision of his heart, as if he were escaped out of battle. So you might have a dream, certain visions of things that you're going to battle, or you ever seen yourself in a dream and you had adrenaline in your dream, and it was such a rush of energy in your dream that it felt real. That you was actually that you just came back from another place. Then you wake up and you still feel tired because spiritually you were somewhere else, and you return back to your body, fatigued in the physical. So you was doing something else. You ever heard the term that we're multi-dimensional beings having a human experience? Well, we just don't exist here. Are you looking at me? I'm digital. I'm digital. I'm digital. But it's other planes and dimensions that we existing on. Right now as we speak.
Yep, that's right.
Um, it says, when it is all safe, he awakeneth. So when everything is safe, you boom, you come back up. So it says, y'all ever seen that? Go watch the movie. What's that movie, man? Go watch that movie. Um, Also, never in the story, but not just never in the story. Go watch. Damn, what's that movie, man?
Yeah, the never ending story actually goes into a lot of these metaphysical concepts as well.
Um, I can't remember that movie, man. It's a movie that talk about how this guy would, change him, and he would go back into the future and things like that. Because a lot of times that's what we doing when we listen. When we in a dream world, don't y'all know out there, man, that we actually are seeing we can see our future self and be like, damn, I'm the you that's in the past, which is who? Higher selves. You got to understand that you are living this life again, again,
Multiple.
again. Um, it says he awakeneth and marveleth that the fear was nothing. So you might wake up and be like, man, that wasn't even real, man. Man, I'm up here panicking for no reason. It says such things happen. So listen to this. It says such things happen unto all flesh, both man and beast, and that is sevenfold more upon sinners. So we ain't gonna get into the whole theological aspect, but the whole thing is it says it happens to all flesh, man and beast. That means it happens to humans and animals. Animals, they be in the dream state also too, because what, animals have souls. They I believe metaphysically that animals used to be once humans. They just took on another body.
Tomorrow we are when we go on talking about on this radio show, we're going to go into how to access these spiritual teachers, because when we get into shamanism, you guys know that they mentioned spiritual teachers and plant teachers, and so this is just giving you guys a little heads up on what we're going to be going into. So and a lot of these things coincide now. Personally, I've never read the Apocrypha before, the book that he's reading from. So he's going into a lot of stuff that we both just mentioned just now. You know, we are both mentioning both the same things from two different sources. You know, so this just is another representation of the metaphysical sequences between these principles.
Yep. It says death and bloodshed, strife, war, calamities, famine, tribulation, and anguish. So all of these things, manifest themselves um, from yourself. So you manifest the things that's coming from your inner world. And like what the brother did in previous videos, he went into the melanocytes, or what you would call chloramidians, mini chlorians, different things like that. Um, because when we talk about this spirituality, we talking also about the understanding of breath, how breathing is important, and how you're breathing, well, every time you breathe in its divine consciousness. You know, everything in this realm has to breathe, because divine spirit, the great divine spirit, what the natives used to call it, the Native Americans used to call it the Great Spirit.
Yep.
They understood the
So that too.
the importance of it.
Right. Yep, that's right. The
They
great.
used to get a little chants and so get back. So we'll be telling y'all out there, get back into your Native American culture, get back into that stuff, man. Get back into your rituals, get back into your understanding, because all these things, the ancients talked about, but you have people out there that would say, well, why y'all dealing with the metaphysical stuff? No, listen.
They will historicalize the practices too.
Yeah,
Yeah. They'll say like, oh well, see, this is just a mythological story, because they don't necessarily understand the mythological story.
yeah,
They don't understand the mythos behind the story, right?
most definitely. You just understand the story. Like people that believe in the Bible or the Quran or all these different texts. You just understand the stories, but you have to. Why is it? See, those that believe in the Bible, why is it that Christ spoke in parables?
Yep.
You see what I'm saying? Why is it that some certain people couldn't understand it? You see what I'm saying? Then you might ask a Christian, okay, what do you understand the parables? Do you understand them? Do you know them?
Right. Like the question, I think it was in the Nakamati, where the disciples asked, because Christ, the Jesus Christ character was saying, well, you have to become like a child to even understand and inherit the rights of the kingdom, and they were like, well, does that mean that we have to be childlike and suckle on a boob? Like, no, it means that you have to be able to get that childlike mind, get the
That's
childlike
right.
heart,
Yep.
pure of heart, and those who can hear, or those who are able to see that understanding, those who can hear, then they hear. You know what I'm saying? Those who can see will see.
Most definitely. And um um like what you were saying, man, and even in the Bible in Luke, they asked, well, are we gonna climb back up into our mother's womb?
Right.
So simple minds, see what I'm saying? So that's why they wanted to crucify Christ, because he was coming with understanding. And even like today, you come up with a this type of understanding, people want to hang you, because all of these things like that. They want to crucify you too. They want to call you all kinds of names and this and that, but you're just showing them the light that is from these books. You gotta bring out the truth in these books. At one point I burned my Bible. I burned my other Bible, but then I had to go back and be like, you know what? I could really use this Bible. You know, because the Bible is kind of like, you know, I mean, I'm not trying to disrespect nobody's religion, but it's basically like a witch's guide.
Well,
Per
basically,
se.
yeah, I understand exactly what you're saying. Like, so you're saying when you came out of the religious understanding, you got a metaphysical concept of it. So after you burnt it, you were like, well, I could actually use this as a way to understand the metaphysical concepts, right?
Yeah,
Yeah. So that's kind of how what we're saying is not to throw out your books, not to throw out the Quran and the Bible and all these other extra books, the Bhagavad Gita, the Rig Veda,
Nakamani,
yeah, the Nag-Hammadis. We're not telling you
Gnostics.
to throw these out. These are records of spiritual experiences. Are people who went into the underworld and gave you that book, which is now a book. You know, so this is what we're saying. We want to show you how to access your underworld and to bring out something from that information that could help you today and tomorrow and the next day. You know, and that's we will be giving you practices, the practical hands-on, and when we speak live on this radio, so we're going to give you the hands-on practices. So some basic questions to keep in the back of your mind: what is shamanism? What is the underworld? What are the techniques which allows one to access or interface with the underworld? What is the idea of astral travel or shamanic journeying, soul revival? What is the axis mundi? How does one access the axis mundi? What are the animal and plant spirits? What we were just talking about, how they plants and animals become certain guides into the spiritual realm because they too can dream. And also, how do we interface with the animal and plant guides? How do you find your own guide? How do you find your own plant or animal guide? And how do you access the spiritual realm? And how do you access your ancestors? This is what we're going to be going over, because this is the science of the underworld, the metaphysical breakdown of the underworld. So, you know, we appreciate those of you guys who came in and tuned in on this video, and you know, we will appreciate if you guys joined us with the radio show and, you know, presented some of your questions. We will be going live, and you know, hopefully we can get a dialogue going. And so we got a lot of stuff, a lot of information that we want to present, show you guys in that realm of the underworld and the metaphysical understanding. So, you got anything you want to say, bro?
I just want to say, I hope y'all tune in, man. It's gonna be a treat. You know, you think that this little short video was something? Wait until you hear the 19th. That's
Yes.
all I want to say. And peace and blessings out there. Positive vibrations, positive energy. Um, you know, stick together, man, and continue pass this knowledge on.
All right. Well, that wraps this video up, and we'll see you guys live on the radio show. Thank you guys for tuning in, and peace out. This is Ras Timotheos, High Priest of the Temple of Divine, here with the Temple of Divine Indigenous Science University of Metaphysics. Peace.
Peace.